Students, today we will continue with the chapter which we have started in my last video, that is biotechnology principles and processes. In my last video we have already gone through the basics of biotechnology, that is what is actually biotechnology. We were going through the steps of biotechnology, the basic principles of biotechnology, where we have started with the restriction enzymes or the molecular scissors. In my last video we have already completed the what are molecular scissors, its working, how it is named, and how does it act as molecular scissors. Now going through the basic steps of biotechnology, we will move on to the next step, that is separation and isolation of DNA fragments. That means we need to isolate or take out the desired gene. Unless and until we are doing it, we can't insert it in the foreign DNA and multiply it inside the foreign DNA, right? So for the separation and isolation of the DNA fragments, we use the process gel electrophoresis. Now, it is a technique for separating the DNA fragments, and this technique is actually based on the size of the fragments. The fragments which are cut by the molecular scissors are differentiated on the basis of their size. In this process, firstly the sample DNA is cut into fragments by restriction endonucleases. And these fragments, since we have already gone through that DNA is a negatively charged particle, so the fragments will also be negatively charged and can be separated by forcing them into to moving towards the positively charged under an electric field and inside a matrix, a semi-solid matrix. Okay, now this matrix used is commonly agarose, which is a natural linear polymer of the D-galactose and 3,6-anhydro L-galactose, and this is extracted from the seaweeds. Okay, now the DNA fragments which separate out according to their size because of the sieving property of this agarose gel. The agarose gel actually forms a finely networking structure which has pores in it. It becomes a sieve-like structure which has very small pores in it, through which the size, depending on the size of the DNA fragment, it gets moved. If the size of the DNA is too small, it will move faster through the gel, and if the size of the fragment is large, then it will not be able to move out of the pore, so it will remain at a place or move a little. Okay, so the separated DNA fragments are visualized after staining with the DNA with ethidium bromide, and this particular process is followed by the exposure of UV radiation. The DNA fragments are then seen as orange colored bands. When this gel is placed under UV, we find various orange colored bands. If you see, go through the if you go through the figure which is given in the book, you will see that various wells are given. We pour the DNA in these wells, which is mixed with ethidium bromide, which acts as a marker. And see, you will find in the first lane the DNA fragment is too heavy, so it didn't move at all. In the second lane, there are 4 DNA fragments, which are the first one has moved a bit, and the second, third and fourth one, the last one has moved a lot, because due to the small size of the fragments. Okay, so the DNA can be separated by these the process of gel electrophoresis. Moving on to the next step of biotechnology, these are cloning vectors. Now, cloning vectors is a broad topic to discuss. So, now first we need to know that what are actually vectors. Vectors are the DNA molecules which carry a foreign DNA segment into the host cell. They act as a medium. Now, these vectors are of various types like plasmids, bacteriophage, YAC, that is yeast artificial chromosomes, BAC, that is bacterial artificial chromosome. They are of various types. Plasmids and bacteriophages are natural vectors. So we will go through the structure of plasmid initially. Okay, now what are actually plasmids? They are autonomously replicating circular extra chromosomal DNA. Autonomously means self replicating. They can make their own copies without any requirement of signaling from the outside, any external signaling. Okay, they are circular in nature. Usually the DNA is linear in nature, but this plasmid is circular in nature and it is double stranded as well. It is also extra chromosomal because it is not found in the chromosomes, it is found in the cytoplasm of the bacterial cells. The second one is the bacteriophages. The bacteriophages are the viruses that has the ability to infect the bacteria. Now, the cloning vectors produce copy number. What is a copy number? It is the number of copies of the vectors present in a cell, and this actually varies from 1 to 100 copies per cell. Now, the most commonly used vector is the plasmid vector. Okay, and PBR322 was the first artificial cloning vector developed by Bolivar and Rodriguez from E. coli plasmid. Okay. So, now what are the basic features of a cloning vector? The first basic feature, if you go through the figure given in the book, the first feature is the origin of replication. What is origin of replication? Origin of replication is a DNA sequence which is responsible for initiating or starting the replication. Now, any piece of DNA when linked to this sequence has the ability to replicate within the host cell. This ORI, or the original of replication, also controls the number of the linked DNA, means how many copies will it produce. It is controlled by the origin of replication. The second part is a selectable marker. Now, what is the need of a marker? The need of the marker is to know whether the foreign DNA has been successfully inserted or not, whether it is working or not. Marker is, that's why needed. Now, it actually helps to select. Now, there might be in a media when you insert the DNA, there might be many cells in many DNA in which the desired gene might not have been inserted. It is a natural process. So, it helps to differentiate between the desired gene containing DNA and the normal DNA. Okay. That the desired gene containing DNA are termed as transformants, and the DNAs which does not have the desired gene are referred to as non-transformants. Now, what is a transformation? Now, transformation is the procedure by which actually a piece of DNA is introduced into the bacterial host. Now, the genes which encode this marker are actually antibiotic resistance. Now, what is antibiotic resistance? Suppose you are suffering from suppose a person is suffering from any kind of bacterial disease, so we don't find that the doctor always gives the same type of antibiotic for any kind of bacterial disease, right? Now, why this is so? This is due to the presence of the plasmid vector inside the bacterial cell, and this plasmid vector actually contains a site of antibiotic resistance. Now, suppose the disease which the person is affected by the bacteria contains an ampicillin resistant site. That means the bacteria can withstand in the presence of ampicillin. It does not get killed. The main purpose of serving the antibiotics is to kill the bacteria, right? But since the bacterial plasmid DNA is containing ampicillin, that's why it can withstand ampicillin and does not get killed. Okay, so the doctor has to provide the person with antibiotic other than ampicillin. So this is actually antibiotic resistance, that the cell can grow in the presence of the antibiotic resistant present inside the plasmid. Now, this cell, now one plasmid can have many antibiotic resistant site present in its plasmid. So genes encoding the resistant to antibiotics like ampicillin, chloramphenicol, tetracycline or kanamycin, these are actually the useful selectable markers for E. coli, and the normal E. coli actually do not carry resistance against any of these antibiotics. Okay, so this was about antibiotic resistance or the selectable marker. Next we will come to the cloning site. What is a cloning site? Now, the link to link the alien DNA or the foreign DNA, the vector actually requires very few or the only one recognition site for the restriction enzyme. That means the site in which the foreign DNA will come and get joined. Okay, more than one recognition sites within the vector can actually complicate the process of gene cloning, as it will generate several fragments and the desired gene will get confused where to get joined. Okay, now ligation of the foreign DNA can be carried out at a single restriction site present in one of the two antibiotic resistant genes. Okay, now coming to the next one is the vectors for the vectors for cloning genes in plants and animals. Now there are various vectors, so which one to be used? So plants and animals actually the separate vectors are used. Now in case of plants, there is tumor inducing plasmid, that is TI plasmid of Agrobacterium tumefaciens, which is most commonly used in cloning vectors. Agrobacterium tumefaciens is a pathogen of several dicot plants, and it delivers a piece of DNA which is known as the tDNA in the TI plasmid, which transforms normal plant cell into tumor cells to produce chemicals against pathogens. Now, retroviruses, adenoviruses, papillomaviruses are also now used as cloning vectors in animals, and because they have the ability to transform the normal cells into the cancerous cells. So these were the various sites of the vectors, and now we know what are actually vectors. So today up to this, we will continue with the chapter in my next videos. Thank you.